What is going on, members of the Burger Empire? Brian here for Body by Burgers, and we already have breaking news on the CrossFit Games 2020 season. That's right, we're 2 weeks out and we already have breaking news and the changes that are happening within the CrossFit world. I'm actually a little bit late reporting this. I first heard it from Arm & Hammer TV. He reported it 3 days ago, so I'm already 3 days late doing this. But all of this information that we are going to be hearing today is coming direct from Greg Glassman. I know Arm & Hammer and Greg Glassman are still pretty close, so this is where he's getting all of his information from. So it's reputable information. The two things that we have to talk about today in the breaking news world is one, the cut system, and two, there's reportedly no title sponsor for the 2020 games, and I think that in itself can have huge implications on the field, more so or just as much as maybe the cut system. But we'll talk about the cut system first. This stuff is direct from Greg Glassman, and again, first reported by Arm & Hammer TV. We will see no cuts until the end of 3 events. And the way those cuts are going to happen is that the 3 events are very CrossFit themed, classic CrossFit events. So maybe we're going to see things like Grace or Fran, something that is very broad in spectrum when it comes to testing the elements of the fittest on earth. And there are 3 consecutive exercises, which the cumulative total of the time is what determines your ranking and your score. Very similar to the 2008 games, and there is a documentary out on there called Every Second Counts. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on there. It's going to make for very, very exciting competition. The big thing is like way back when, the winners, like we had people like Jason Kalipa win those events in 2008. It's going to be very interesting to see how they're programmed, if they are going to be benchmarks. I doubt we're going to see hero workouts. Probably variations on CrossFit benchmarks is what I'm assuming is what we're going to see. I think that it will allow for more tests to happen so that we can actually get the right people moving on in the CrossFit world, because there was a lot of controversy over that this year. I think Greg Glassman kind of listened up. We still don't know if it's going to follow that same cut from 75 to 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. But we do know now that there will be more tests of fitness before those initial cuts do happen. They will take place over a day and a half. So if we do start on the Thursday, the first cuts aren't going to happen until halfway through Friday, which is a very interesting mark. And I think seeing that mark will probably, with the amount of athletes that are still going on, we probably are going to see still 4 heats. We probably will see more benchmarks that take about 15 minutes. And then going into Friday, potentially one longer event, so we can still test endurance with the athletes. This is kind of my hunch. This is my speculation. So going into that, we are going to see 3 different types of tests before any cuts. And I think that will really help sort out the cream of the crop, and we will see the ranking systems rise to the top, and we will see the people near the top of the leaderboard after these 3 classically CrossFit programmed workouts. I think we'll see those people rise to the top that need to be raised to the top. I think it's going to be extremely exciting. And if we follow the same cut scheme as we did last year with the same amount of events, and this was very well put by Arm & Hammer, we will see that final cut to 10 happen at the end of Saturday evening, which is very big for the implications of that leaderboard. We will get to see the people that deserve to be in that top 10. Not that the people that were in the top 10 this year didn't deserve to be in the top 10 because they earned their spot through the way the system happened this year, but we are going to see more events tested with more athletes, and I think we will see a truer test of fitness happen with the way this system works. I'm not going to assume, because who knows, maybe at the end of those 3 events, Glassman might lose his mind completely, and then we'll just legitimately see 20 people at the end of those 3 events. But who knows? This is big time speculation, but we do know that we will see more tests of fitness before we see that first cut, which I think is going to be very exciting and very fun to watch, because like the old school documentary, literally every second counts and your life depends on it for this. So I'm looking forward already to be watching the 2020 games, just because we might see some dark horses more so come through with more tests of fitness, and we will see at least the top 20 belong where they belong. So very fun and interesting games coming up to that. Number 2 that comes up is we have no, I've seen reports, this one is not direct from Greg Glassman, this is mostly just Instagram gossip, but we are going to most likely see no title sponsor for the 2020 games. What does that mean? The little CrossFit Games symbol will no longer say the Reebok CrossFit Games anymore. It has been very well publicized that CrossFit has had some issues with Reebok in the past, whether or not Reebok is representing CrossFit properly or vice versa. There's been lawsuits and there's been a lot of bad blood with that, so I'm shocked to see that Reebok was part of the title sponsor of this games, but they did lift that shoe ban where you could see the athletes use any shoe they wanted. So we got to see Noble athletes use Noble, we got to see Nike athletes use Nike, and that's pretty much the 3 companies that are involved with CrossFit right now. I mean, Under Armour does have a CrossFit shoe, but it's not great, not a lot of people are using it. But what does this mean for potentially the athletes and the athletes that have qualified? Well, personally, I think with no title sponsor on a big event like this, your entry fees, you're probably going to see a lot of money, or the entry fee in itself, skyrocket in price, simply because they don't have the back-end funding from a high-end sponsor like Reebok. Now you don't see a high-end sponsor. What does this mean? Well, maybe a lot of the national champions that were barely scraping through the bottom of the barrel, barely making it to the games, they just literally went because they wanted to say they went to the games, might not be able to afford to go to the games, which kind of sucks for them now with the cuts, because now they're going to have at least 3 tests of fitness instead of the 1, and it's going to be more, I just get this hunch that it's going to be more expensive for them, so it might legitimately weed out some people that would go to the games but now can't afford to. A lot of the high-end athletes, again, this is pure speculation just from what I know about professional sports, people like your Tia Toomey's, your Matt Frazier's, your Sarah Sigmund's daughter, your Katrin David's daughter, Jacob Hepner, maybe not Jacob Hepner, but, Noah Olson, Pat Vellner, Brent Fikowski. I would think that a lot of their sponsors chip in some, if not all, of that entry fee so that they can make it to the games, and it's a lot easier of a ride for them to get there. Or at least a lot of things will be reimbursed to a certain percentage. So I think a lot of the athletes that have legitimate sponsorships, that do make income off of these sponsorships, do have a lot easier time making it to the games than somebody like a national champion. Because I know, as an example myself, if I somehow by some miracle become Canada's national champion, I know I'm not going to afford to be able to go to the games as an athlete aspect of it. So I think that we might see some people that earned their way to the games not be able to make the games because of costs and financial burdens, so to speak. Not only is there implications for the athletes when it comes to costs, but there's also implications when it comes to uniforms, when it comes to jerseys and things that are provided, because in years past we've always seen the shirts and the shorts that they wear and the shoes up until last year all be Reebok. Now what's going to happen, we don't know. Are the CrossFit Games still going to provide the people with maybe a jersey or a CrossFit Games tank top or t-shirt or wherever the case is? Are they going to be free to wear whatever shorts they want to wear? We are going to see a whole new landscape of the 2020 games, and things are going to be interesting. They're going to be different. We are going to see a whole new look to the 2020 games that we haven't seen probably since Reebok has taken over as a title sponsor. I'm very interested to see what the games look like. It may not be the big spectacle that we see it as, or maybe we're going to see a bunch of little sponsors. I know Porsche was one of the sponsors this year, so we might see another car company. We might see, a bunch of tiny little sponsors. Somebody like Fit Aid will come in. Maybe we'll see supplement companies come in. I think that potentially Rogue would jump in as another small sponsor. Or we might just see everything turned on its head. But as of right now, there is no title sponsor for the 2020 games. I'd be interested to see if somebody like Nike wanted to jump in on that. But that is the CrossFit news, and that does catch you up on everything. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. If you liked the video, make sure to like the video. Comment in the comment section below who you think is going to be the next title sponsor to the CrossFit Games, or I will curious to see what you guys think is going to be the first 3 workouts before the cuts of the 2020 games. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. It is the only way to become a member of the Burger Empire. And until next time, everybody, as always, Burger Power.